Good evening and welcome to Oasis of Victory 2023 Finance Conference. Hallelujah. I hope you all are excited as I am to be here tonight, because I am so excited to be here. And I am full of information that I want to get to you that will be life-changing. And I believe after today, you are going to be so grateful. You're going to be grateful, number one, that we have a pastor, Pastor James Smith Jr. I thank him for allowing us to have our conference again this year. And his hope is that everyone that attends or everyone who is online, and we welcome you on Facebook and YouTube this evening with us for a life of financial literacy. We're going to get some wisdom. We're going to get some understanding of money, finances. You know, people call it different things, but it's been a tough 3 years for everyday people, and some, mostly small businesses, have been impacted by the pandemic. But do not allow the bleak past to forecast your future. It doesn't have to be that way. And because you're here today, you're going to change the trajectory of your financial future, because it is time to get your house, your financial house, in order. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. This evening, we'll be with you for 3 hours from 6 until 3. And on tomorrow, Saturday the 20th, we will be with you from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And trust me, it's worth coming out for. If you can only make it for a couple hours, get here. It'll be worth your while. Truly, it will be. If you only can tune in for an hour, a couple hours, you get off early or you get off later in the afternoon tomorrow, maybe say, oh, I don't get off until 10, 11 o'clock. Come on here. Come on in. We're going to look at you like you've been here all morning, all day with us. And we're going to welcome you in because we want this information to get out. I'm going to give you strategies and I'm going to give you a lot of information tonight, but it's up to you to apply it to your life. And it doesn't work until you work it. But I am living proof that what I teach works. I'm living it. I'm living it. I'm going to say it again. I'm living it. And I don't have a sad story. Well, yeah, I guess I kind of do. Because when I think back from where I came from to where I am today, it was kind of a bleak path. This is my story. Like many people, I had a lot of debt. I mean, a lot of debt. I've paid off, the last time we were together, I paid off over $140,000 in debt. And that was just consumer debt. That was just credit cards and car loans and regular loans and things of that nature. But now not only is all the debt paid off, but they're a debt-free house. Hallelujah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lord, thank you. And I'm going to show you how I did that, but that'll be on tomorrow when we talk about the second largest purchase you will make, which is your house. Your first largest purchase is usually a car. And a lot of us got our first car in our teen years. Some of us waited a little later to get them, but that's okay. Now, I was going along, and I finally hit rock bottom. I got tired of being broke. I got tired of living from paycheck to paycheck. And I started to read. I started to read financial books. I'm going to give you some of the names of the books I read because they really blessed me. And I think they're good. They would be a good read for you, and they will give you some information that will help you. You may hear some of it actually come out of my mouth regarding budgeting when I get to the areas of budgeting and things of that nature. One of the books that really changed my life is Money Management for Those Who Don't Have Any. His second book was called Living Financially Free. Third book was Financial CPR. 7 Steps to Avoid a Financial Crisis. And the author of all 3 books is James L. Paris, Paris, if you want to look him up on Amazon. And one thing I've learned about Amazon is you can purchase books and you don't have to break the bank. You can purchase books that are used books. Some of them are gently used, some of them are poorly used. And you take your pick. Or you can purchase the book brand new. And my question when I started out, I was like, well, if somebody just barely read the book, I might as well save money and buy the used book. And so that's what I did. I started buying some of my books used, and some of them I did purchase new. Another book is I just adore. We're in a Christian setting. We're in a ministry this evening. I'm a Christian, and one of the books I read was the Financial Stewardship Bible. And I love that Bible. It's thick, and everything in that Bible is about finances. The Bible has over 2,000 scriptures in it concerning money. 20% of the Word of God was written about finances. Yet we won't say anything, but we're not talking about that tonight. Tonight we're going to get that financial house in order. And that's a very good book if you would like to get your hands on that one. Another book was called Master Your Money by Ron Blue. He also wrote a book with Larry Burkett called Wealth to Last. And it talks about not just wealth for you, but for your future generations, because wealth is supposed to last and go to our children's children and so on. And of course, you cannot read without reading Financial Peace by Dave Ramsey. His words changed my life. His writings changed my life. His principles changed my life. But even before there was a Dave Ramsey, who I mentioned just a second ago, Larry Burkett was one of, I guess I could say he was my financial mentor. I never met him. I remember he died on 4th of July. I'll never forget that, because I was driving home and I was listening to him on the radio, because 2 o'clock every day, Money Wise came on. And so as I was listening to him, I was saying, oh, wow. And then they announced that he had passed away. And I was saddened by that, because he was really my financial mentor. I read his books. I listened to his broadcasts every day, and I received a whole lot of financial information from their ministry. And so if you can get hold of any of his books, he has a book called Doing Business God's Way, and it teaches you strategies to do business according to the Word of God. Also, another book I love is Thou Shalt Prosper, and it's by Rabbi Lapin, Lapin. He has a book about business, too. It's called Business Secrets from the Bible, and both of them are very good. You may hear me quote every now and then quotes that were written by Rabbi Lapin, because he's very wise when it comes to finances and money and things according to the Word of God. But I do want to say this conference is not just for Christians. It's for everybody. It's anybody, because even the Bible says that it rains on the just and the unjust alike. It rains on Christian people and it rains on non-Christians, and we get wet the same amount, the same time, no different. And so you can apply what is taught to your life as well, whether you're in church or out of church. It will work for you. Another thing, how many of you all know why money is called currency? Money. Let me see if I can draw a dollar bill. I'm not an artist. I'll put that disclaimer out there. Okay, that's Ben Franklin, y'all. Been on the $100 bill. Okay, this is your money. This is you, the little stick figure. We lost a lot of weight. We got our money. Can you all see? Okay. This is you. This is your money. This is PNC. This is the bank. Now, when you take your money and you deposit your money, do you think your money sits at PNC? They just got to sit in the vaults all day, and any Bank of America, any bank you can name. Your bank does not sit in that receptacle. Money is called currency. The reason it's called currency is because money flows. Remember? Current or current. A current flows like the current of the ocean. It flows. It has a movement about it. Money can go in all different directions. It depends on what you do with your money. And so when the money goes, you take the money to the bank, the money flows, and it leaves that bank, and it goes over here, because Johnny needs a loan, because he likes to sail. And he wants to buy a boat. So Johnny goes to the bank. Oh, I forgot Johnny, y'all. Help me out here. There you go. Johnny wants to buy a boat, so Johnny goes to the bank. He takes out a what? Loan. There we go. Now Johnny gets his loan. He goes to the dealership. He buys a boat, and Johnny sails on into the sunset. That's your money. But because this bank, PNC, we're calling it today, y'all owe me 10%. Because we're calling it PNC, he got his loan from PNC. He went to the dealership. He purchased a boat. He was able to go and have his activities and have a lot of fun with his family. Now, something happens with that loan. It's called interest. That's the price Johnny pays for getting that loan. Now, that interest comes, the bank charges it, but you get a piece of that. So some of that returns back to you in your account. So every month, depending on how it's done, some are done daily, some are done monthly, some people get interest quarterly. Which one is your best friend? Really gonna be the same. They all add up to be the same. A lot of people like to see their interest daily because they want to go on there and look at it. I can show you how it's easy to do. All you have to do is divide how many days there are in the month by that interest, and you'll see what they're paying you daily. Or you can, another way you can do it is if you do online banking, if you open up your statements and look at the details, it'll tell you that $237 out of your $312 went to interest. So 123 went to principal. That's why it takes so long to pay debt off. But we're going to look at that in a little bit. So now you see the way currency flows. It just doesn't sit still. Even when your money is sitting in your account, you see a number. Yes, you do, when you take a look at it. And whatever that amount is, whether it's 2 figures or 6 figures sitting in your account, you will see that. But trust, it's not sitting there. It's only on paper. And you want that. You want to see your money go in the bank, and you want to see it, that currency. You want to see your money flow. And then you want that money to be able to flow back in your pocket, but you want it to come back with interest. You want your money to have gone and grown. So if you started out with $100, you don't want to go back to the bank in 6 years and pick up that $100. You want that at least, put in there saying it's at 5%. You want to go in there, and when you pick it up, you want to be at least grown about $62. So when you pick it up, you'll pick up $162 in 2 years instead of going back and get your original principal amount. So you want them to take your money and flow your money out of that bank into the hands of the next person getting a loan. That could be a boat loan. That could be a loan for a mortgage. That could be a construction loan to build a house. It could be a business loan to start a new business or a new project. So I guess some of you be like, I'm not worried about getting no loan. I'm trying to get out of debt. Debt is horrible. Horrible. That is really horrible. But can I tell you something? You created the problem. We did. Personally, we created the problem of debt. And debt is a burden. You know, if you're walking around, it's like walking around with great big sacks. That looks more like a pumpkin. But with big sacks, that's what debt looks like. Or like luggage. The thing I like about luggage is usually when you pack it, you're going on a trip. With debt, you got to stay home. You're not going anywhere. It's not going to allow you to. Debt dictates to you your lifestyle. Debt will say, all of them are going, but debt will tell you you can't go. It's time we get ourselves to the place where we stop letting debt tell us what to do and we start telling our money what to do. We have to give our money a mission. And when we give our money a mission, we will start to see a difference in our lives. But it takes time. You know, we got into debt, and we didn't get into debt overnight. It took us some time to get into debt. And as it takes us time to get into debt, we're going to have to start watching our P's and our Q's, something we do not want to do. But tonight, I promise you, I am going to try and break things down to the lowest common denominator, that even if a child of 7 years old sat here, they will leave here understanding not only about money and about debt, but how to get out of it, how not to get back into it. So, are y'all ready to get started? How many of you ever heard of a term called net worth? Do you know your net worth? Do you know how much you are worth? That does not do very well at all. Yeah, we're going to have to spray it. That's not good either. Whew. Let's take a look. Okay, that's better. So, when a person asks you what you're worth, they don't mean, you know, as a person. They're usually talking about your financial situation. But what are you worth? I'm worth $500,000. I'm worth $50,000. They want to know how much are you financially worth. Sometimes the bank wants to know what you're worth so they can figure out how much they'll be willing to loan you. Because, you know, a lot of people are worth a lot of money on paper, but they don't have any actual cash money. But they do have a lot of holdings and things of that nature. So, if you will, let's put it up on the screen, please. We're going to take a look at our net worth. And I'm going to show you how to calculate your net worth. Your net worth is you want to take your assets. And your assets is anything that has no debt on it. And then there are your liabilities. You should also have that in your binders. Now, when you look at that sheet, they have a home is worth $250,000 and no debt. They have a car, $7,000. A 401k, they have $25,000 in savings, and they have a savings account that has $5,000. $287,000 is what they have in assets. That's what they have with no debt to it, $287,000. Now, the liabilities are, they have credit card debt of $1,000, they have $20,000 in student loans, and they have a mortgage. Evidently, they have another property somewhere of $150,000. So that's $171,000 they have in debt or liabilities. So you take your liabilities and you subtract that from what you have in your assets. And their difference was $116,000. So this young man or young woman, net worth is $116,000. That's what they're worth. When people look at their financial portfolio, they'll see that this is what this person or this couple is worth. And so they can, as they say in the financial world, they can hedge against that, or they can put debt against that. They could borrow against that, or they can just let it sit and continue as they pay their debts down and they become more asset-ridden and less liabilities. Their net worth will also start to increase. I want you to take a minute, and if you have in mind, it should be a sheet in there, and if it's not, I'll get it to you. It's a sheet I printed out called your net worth calculation worksheet. And on here, you can write all of your liabilities and all of your assets. You take that, you add them up, and find out what you're worth. Some people may be very surprised. Some people may be extremely surprised. Some people may be very disappointed because they really thought they had, when you look at yourself at your financial picture, if you can pay all your bills, you figure you're okay. But that doesn't mean you're actually okay. Because if your net worth is negative, or if your net worth is zero, you're really not okay. Because people look at you, you're breaking even. But you're also treading water. And before long, you are not going to keep your head above water. It takes a while. And that was what was happening with me. I had a job, a decent job, but I just couldn't keep up. I just couldn't keep, you paying your bills, you paying your rent, and all of that. But just trying the everyday grind of trying to keeping everything up. And as they go up on things, your payments go up, but your paycheck doesn't change. And so you really start to struggle. But you don't have to struggle anymore. You struggle only if you choose to. But it's going to take some things, and I'm going to cuss and ask you all right now, God forgive me, I'm a cuss in the house of God. But I'm getting ready to say a bad word that nobody like to hear. That word is sacrifice. She just cussed. She cussed in church. I know we're in the house of the Lord, so forgive me. But sacrifice is real. You are going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to give up some stuff. I had to think about it. I like purses, and I like nice purses too. And not only do I like them, but I could afford it. In my little mind, I could afford the purses because, see, I could put them on my credit card if I didn't have the money. Because, see, credit card, you can buy what you want. And you think you're good. You think you're safe. It's all right until next month when the bill comes due. And then you sit there and you're fidgeting trying to figure out, okay, I got the person, how I'm going to pay for it. And then I used to say, man, if they ever rob me, purse worth more than anything that's in it. Because there usually was no money in it because I didn't have no money. But I had a nice purse. And that's what we do. But we've got to get to a place, if you are really ready to get out of debt, you're going to have to sacrifice. It is going to cost you something. It costs you something to get into debt. It costs people a lot. It costs people sleep. Sleep deprivation is one of the number one causes of illness. Weird, isn't it? And that's because your body heals itself when you sleep, while you rest. So it causes us sleep. We can't sleep at night. Our mind don't shut off. We're always thinking about, oh, I'm going to rob Peter to pay Paul, and Mary sitting over there looking at me with the side eye because she hasn't been paid in a month or two. So we lose sleep. Some people lose their life. 12%, I think it was, I read, of adult suicides are financial. They're so stressed over the money, and they take their lives instead of trying to get this debt off of remember the luggage, trying to get this debt off of their back. They see that there's no other way out, but there's always a way out. There is another alternative. You have to make up in your mind if you're willing to take the alternative, if you are willing to do the work. And sometimes it's not like your 9 to 5. It merely may take you 15 minutes a day to get your financial house in order once you set everything up. And I'm going to show you in just a little bit how to start a budget. Have any of you made out a budget? Have you all started your budgets? No? Oh, man, you got to get a budget. What is a budget? Let me see. Can I cuss again? Budget. Permission to offend. Y'all might hear that a lot tonight. Because people don't like the word budget. But a budget is simple. A budget is a plan of how to spend your money. Another word is mission. You give your money a mission, or you can give it a job. That's not the Bible, that's not Job, that's J-O-B, job. Give your money a job, somewhere to go. So if your money has a job, it also has a mission, and the mission is to budget itself. But it takes you. You are the common denominator. Budgets don't work without you, and then you have to work your budget. And a budget isn't hard to do. One thing we have to bear in mind that we have to start to think, well, if I have to give my money a mission, give my money a job, where is it going? Where will I employ it? Well, you start to think about it. What do you need? When you start a budget, you need money. So your budget has to have what? What you make. And we use that as our net pay. Our net pay is what we bring home after taxes and benefits have been removed. In other words, after Uncle Sam gets his part, Social Security, FICA, and all of that, you bring that home. If you look into your binders, there is a chart there of a budget. Because we've calculated our net worth. Are y'all tired yet, or can we keep going? Y'all good? Okay. I was getting ready to say we were going to take a break. But since we're not going to take our break, we'll go ahead and we'll look at this budget. You all should have a picture of that budget in your binders as well. Now, when you look at a budget, it looks strange, doesn't it? But these are the things that you want. You need your income, which is your net pay. The budget we're looking at tonight, their net pay that they bring home is $3,100 a month. Their rent is $1,200 a month. They have food, and their budget is $200. They have a car payment that's $350.25. They have car insurance and registration. Now, that was divided by 12. So when you do a budget, there are certain things that you budget for every month. There are certain things that you are going to take. You will add it up for the year. Since they pay their insurance like that, you would take it and you add whatever it is, whatever the dollar amount is, and you're going to divide it by 12. And whatever the number comes out, that's what you budget monthly to put away. So say you want to go ahead and you're looking at something. What can I think of real quick? Let me see here. $100 is going to cost. So I have to put, if I have something that's going to cost $100 for the year, if I divide that by 12, that's going to give me $8, I think, and 33 cents. And 33, you know, it's infinite, so it goes on and on and on. So we could round it off actually to 34 cents or drop it and leave it at 83. So I would put away $8.33 per month would be added on my budget. So that's how I came up with the $91.91 for their budget. So that was for their car insurance and registration. And in Maryland, we only do our registration every 2 years. So then we would take our registration and we would divide it by 24 because we don't have to put away as much because we don't have to pay as often. So now we go down, then they have credit card payments of $450. They have personal loan at $220, student loans $325. Now people are drowning over student loan debt. You know, that's taking a lot of people that have graduated college, and some are graduating college right now. They are getting ready to walk out of the halls of education. Some of them won't be able to move out of their parents' house because they cannot afford to pay rent. As they get ready to turn, the moratorium is getting ready to be over, and they've had this ride where President Biden allowed them to put in deferment all of the loan payments, but they're getting ready to start up. The pandemic ended on the 11th. So payments are getting ready to start kicking in. So people are going to have to revise their budgets now to add back in the money if they hadn't saved it. It would have been smart had they saved it, but more than likely they probably didn't because we're creatures of habit. That money went towards paying that debt down even sooner, and it would save them a lot of interest. I had a young lady say to me, I almost can't say it. She has $180,000 in student loan debt, and she's not a doctor. She's not a CPA, but she has $180,000 in debt. That's a house. But she still can get out of debt because we're working on it. She's working on it. She's going to be out of debt. It's going to take 8 years, but in 8 years, she's going to be debt-free. She's going to be done with that debt and the other debts that she has. So you can do this. All it is math. And it's simple. Simple math. I got to say, you say it's simple. It's simple for you. No, it's simple for all of us if we would just do the work and we sacrifice. If we start sacrificing some stuff. You know, they call it the latte. When I go to Starbucks, I pay $7.49 for my mocha. If I go to Starbucks 5 days a week, I spend $37.45. My latte tastes good. And I'm like, man, if I multiply that by 4 weeks, which is a month, I spent $149.80 for the latte factor. Is that latte that good? I think not. I started waking up. I could take that $149 and I could put that on one of my credit card bills and I could pay that credit card bill off in 2 months instead of going and get some latte when I can make a cup of coffee at home, put some whipped cream in it, and it'll taste just like that latte. And save the money, plus I can go and get the Cool Whip. It costs $2.29. We have to change our mindset. When you change your mindset, you change your financial future. When you start to look at things differently, it'll start to change the way you see money. Because, see, I don't see money like dollars and cents and stuff like that. I look at money a little different now. I used to see money, and I was like, oh, yeah, I can buy this and I can buy that. And then I start seeing money as stuff. And then I start to see money just stack up in the closet. Because you're not wearing it. You're not putting it on your feet, but you're just buying it. And so we got to get to the point where we change our mindset. I promise you, if you change your mindset, you'll change your financial future. If you start to look at money just like I started to look at lattes, and I turned latte money into bill-paying money, getting debt-free, I got debt-free by simple little things like that. I put $149.80 back into the budget. That was just 1 month, y'all. Now multiply that by 12. $1,797. $1,797.60. I hope you like mocha. You didn't realize you spend that kind of money on latte, did you? So maybe I'll only get latte 2 times a week. Okay, so you're going to spend $75. Ooh, big whoop. Stop drinking the latte and make some coffee. Get yourself a Keurig. Do something. As a matter of fact, don't even buy a new Keurig. Go to the thrift store and get one somebody else gave them. And then they're going to make a little money to help their nonprofit. So you're being blessed, and that nonprofit is being blessed, so somebody else is being blessed. You're helping somebody else while you're helping yourself because you're using what works to get you out of debt, and you still got a good cup of Joe. Isn't that amazing? Change your mind. Change your future. It takes little things. I'm telling you, little tweaks will change your perspective. And your financial perspective of change is at your fingertips. You know, money feels different when you don't owe nobody. It starts to talk to you. It says vacation. It says nice little things like that. Because people that have money have this. People without debt have options. People that have debt are enslaved. Again, their money tells them what to do. When you don't have debt and it's snowing outside and you don't want to go to work, you can call in and say, hey, I won't be there today. Because you're not so dependent on that paycheck. So you can turn over and think about them going out there and shoveling and washing their cars off. Maybe tomorrow I'll do it. Maybe by Friday I might do it. But you have options. You can lie there and sit and just think about, man, it'd be nice being in Acapulco right now. And then you think about it. Well, I got leave and I got money. And you go online and you get your trip set up. While we're here freezing, you're on the beach in Acapulco saying, man, I wonder what they're doing at work right now. Because you've paid the price. You sacrificed. And now you have options. Different mindset. We don't be so hungry to have to, have every dollar, pinch this and pinch that. You have options. You can go in the grocery store and you don't have to be, and I still do get out my calculator sometimes, not all the time. I'm not, I'm not a habitual calculator person. It may seem like I am, but sometimes I go and I don't pull out my calculator. Sometimes I do it to a T because I want to make sure I budgeted this and I'm going to stay within my budget. I came for this and I'm going to leave with this. But there's something about going in that store with the big W that I can go with a list and I still leave out with everything and have to go back because I didn't get what I came for on my list. Y'all know what store I'm talking about. I'm not going to say its name. We all know because I see y'all in there too. But many times I go in there and I'm like, man, I forgot it. I know I went there to get that. And then I look and be like, what did I get? And then I look at the chicken and I'm like, what did I get? So the budget stops us from doing that. It stops us from mindful spending. So our eyes is on the budget and it's not at the cash register. Because one place they put everything is at those end caps, and they're at end caps on purpose. It's called marketing. Everything is there, and it's always at the level that your children is at. Because they know your children going to grab it. Mama, can I have this? No, you can't. Mama, can I have that? Can I have Hubba Bubba Bubble Gum? Mama, can... Wisen it up high because they know you're not going to buy it. But they know your children are going to worry you until you just throw it in the cart. Marketing. We can beat marketing with a budget and leave our children at home when we shop. Sometimes you got to pay a babysitter so you can go and get the things you need. That babysitter is saving you money because you go to the store and you spend $50 more when you only pay her $6 to stay with your kids for an hour or so, 30 minutes. You would have saved yourself money just paying the babysitter. Now, we're going to continue on with this budget because I'm going to show you how to find money in your spending. They went on and their utilities they had a student loan for $325. Their cell bill was $183. Utilities was $125. The total of their fixed, these are called fixed expenses. They're going to have these every month. $3,145.16 is what it came out to be. Now you got flexible expenses. These are things that you can put in the budget and take out of the budget. Eating out, $30 they budgeted. Clothing, $50. I don't know what they're buying, but okay. $50. They didn't do anything this month for books. Entertainment, $60. They don't need public transportation. They own a vehicle. They said they don't need cable. They're probably, since they have the internet, they may be streaming. They may have some subscriptions. People spend, while I'm here, people spend a lot of money on subscriptions. Do you ever watch Hulu? And it's steady going up, $14.99, $17.99. And if you got 5 subscriptions, you could be spending $60 to $80 a month. It'd be cheaper to get cable. See, you have to learn to weigh the difference and take a look at them. And another thing I'll show you later on, I'll tell you how to get these people to be reasonable with you. You can call them. You can talk to them. Persuasion is a wonderful thing. Internet access is $60. Now they have personal hygiene items, deodorant, shampoos, and things like that. They have $25. No recreation. Their miscellaneous, they put down, we're going to put $60 away for mad money, whatever I want to do with it. They're not going to the gym, no child care right now. Laundry, $25. They gave themselves $100 travel money. They're putting $400 a month in savings. And then their other spending is money that they just had to do something with. They threw that in that little area there, and that was $50. So they had a total of $860 in flexible spending expenses. So here we go. $3,100 is their income. $3,145.16 is their total fixed expenses. $860 is their flexible expenses. These people are $905.16 in the red every month. Negative. My goodness, what are they going to do? Where are they going to find $905.16? They are overspending their budget. They've blown their budget. They don't know what to do. Where am I going to find $905.16? Guess what? Help is on the way. I'm going to show you with this exact same budget how you can save money. But remember the bad word. Sacrifice is going to kick in now. Because you're ready to get out of debt. You're ready to set aside money to start being able to get out of debt and stay out of debt. Now, they're still going to have $3,100. They don't have a part-time job, so that's still going to stay the same. Now, if we go down and look at it, the rent is going to stay the same. Food, yes, that's about right, $200. Car payments are $350.25. Registration, they need that for the car. Credit card payments, they're going to have to pay them. So where are we going to start cutting? We're going to look at this telephone bill here, their cell bill. Well, I looked it up. Now, they could get a plan for $90 a month on Straight Talk. AT&T and Sprint has a plan for, that was Straight Talk. They had it. Then they had a special. If you join and you have another person or a family plan, you can get it for $73 a month. So what do? We get rid of our regular carrier. We go on over and change over to Straight Talk. And let me tell you a little unknown secret. But if you ever use Straight Talk and you go to Walmart and you buy the card for Straight Talk and you load it on, look at the small print on the back and see what it says. It says Verizon. You're paying $183 a month for the same thing. They're giving $73. What's wrong with us? All it takes is a little reading and a little bit of educating ourselves. And so you take that, and now they go from $183 a month to $73. That's a saving of $110. I'm already getting them close. They're going to be able to pay their bills by the time we get to the end. So the utilities, their electric bill, and all that is still $125. So just doing that one change has brought them down for their expenses, for fixed expenses, to $3,035.16. Now let's look at these flexible expenses. This is the area where your greatest expenses and sacrifice is going to take place. Somebody say, ouch. Okay, I'll pull the Band-Aid off now. Let's get to work. Eating out. They gave themselves $30. Nope, you're staying home. There will be no eating out. What you mean I can't eat out? Do you want to eat out or do you want to get out of debt? Do you want to be able to pay your bills? Because right now you're not paying your bills. They're calling you because you're negative $905.16 a month. That means somebody's calling your house because they want to know where their money is because your money not right. And I tell you, the honey get funny when there's no money. Married folk could get that when they get home. Clothing, they gave themselves $50. You can't buy nothing with it, no way, no. Sacrifice. That goes back into the budget. Entertainment, they gave themselves $60. No entertainment. Turn on the video at home, turn on the radio, download something and dance like nobody's watching in your living room. You are not going out and going to do any kind of entertainment. Internet access, okay, it was $60. That's pretty reasonable, especially for our area. But let me tell you something, how you can save money. You can call them. Once a year, I get on the phone and I call them. And I say, hey, look, I've been with you all X amount of years, but I think I'm going to go to a streaming platform now. But before I do, I want to give y'all an opportunity to keep me as a customer. What do y'all have going on over there? Well, Miss Sullivan, well, I don't know if oh, you can't make decisions? Is there someone there that can? And they'll get a supervisor. And guess what? Cut our bill from it was $99.53 to $39.99. Don't tell me they don't have room to help you out. It just takes a call. It's happened for me. I work with other people. They can give after class talk to them. They'll tell you it worked for them too. It works. And it doesn't just work for that, for the internet. It'll work for the telephone company. I've gotten 4 phones for free. It works. I was with you before you were Verizon. I was with you when you were Ma Bell. He was so young, he said, who was that? He didn't know who Ma Bell was, but I did. And you want to keep me as a customer. If you have longevity with these people and with companies, they want to keep you, because for every one person they lose, they have to pick up 2 to 5 new customers to make what you've paid them over the last few years. So it's advantageous to them to keep you as a customer. Use that to your benefit. Okay, so now we're at the internet. So we're not going to fuss about that too much. So now we've got shampoo, hygiene stuff. $25, get over it. You can buy it less expensive. If you go to they keep calling it the dollar store. It's no longer the dollar. They need to call it $1.25. But that is not inferior products. And it's only for a time, only for a season, only for a small duration. It's okay to go in there and buy the same name brand that you buy at the store, box stores that you buy at regular stores, and you're saving sometimes $9, $10. So now we're going to cut that budget from $25 down to $15. That's a $10 savings. Drop on down to, they gave themselves 60 big dollars in miscellaneous. Nope, nothing is miscellaneous. Every dollar has a mission and a budget. We've got to tell this money where it has to go. $60 more in our budget. Laundry, $25 for laundry and dry cleaning seems reasonable. We left that alone. Travel, you're not going nowhere. Stay home. If you want to travel, put on the Travel Network. I go all kinds of places, and I don't leave my living room. And I travel, y'all. I'd have been to Japan, China, Indonesia. Look, I've been to Dubai. I've been wanting to go to Dubai for years. And let me tell you, it's beautiful. I saw the sand dunes. I saw the jewelry shops. I saw that they had Cartier. Oh, my goodness. I was just blessed, blessed, blessed. I got to see all them places from my family room. So that $100 stays in my budget. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere because you're going to sacrifice, because you want to get out of debt. You want to get this budget advantageous and cooperative to you getting out of debt. Now, they were putting I almost choked. $400 they're putting away in their savings account. Why? When you're negative $905.16 a month, You can't pay your bills and you're putting up $400. No, you're not. Put it back in the budget. I mean, even if they did that, they would be closer. Come on now. I can do this without a calculator in seconds. They will have $516 negative. They're that much closer to the goal of paying all of their monthly expenses without pulling their hair out, without losing sleep, without contemplating, is it worth it anymore? And it's simple. It behooves me how people will save money and not pay your debt because you're defeating yourself. You're getting pennies on a dollar while that money is sitting in that bank, locally usually, and you got that kind of deficit in your life. Clean that deficit up. That $400, I'll tell you where to send it, where it'll grow a lot more, but that'll be tomorrow. So join in and be online or come in so you can receive. Now, the other spending money they gave themselves was $50. Nope. Sacrifice. Okay, altogether, we now have $760 I found in your budget, and we're not through yet. See, because the lady crazy. She going to show you how to keep going. Look, man, she done saved me $760. I mean, I got $760 over here now, y'all. Does it feel good yet? Y'all starting to feel better about your budget? Because that 905.16, if we do it like this, 905.16, we take that 760. We're now $145.16 in the red. We almost at pay dirt. We almost can pay all our bills. You shouldn't be sweating as much now. You're starting to feel a little better. You might get sleep 4 hours tonight because it's getting a little closer, starting to feel a little lighter on you. So, okay, now what am I going to do? When I get here, I may have to do something real drastic. Y'all really ready to sacrifice? Okay. Everybody take a deep breath because I'm getting ready to tell you something that you're not going to want to hear. They got a car. That car is costing how much a month? They got a car payment of $350.25. They're putting away $91.91. That's a total of $442.16 a month. What'd she say? Sell the car. What? I like my car. How much do you like your car? Do you like your car so much that debt is strangling you? Sell that car because you'll get a better car down the road. I'd rather drive a hoop than have everybody look at me than drive a car I can't afford. Because you can't afford that car. You don't have $442.16 in your budget because you started out with a deficit of $905.16. That right there tells me you can't afford that car. You also can't afford your rent because your rent should not be more than 25% of your net income. So you're already paying more in rent than you can afford. That means you're either going to have to move home. Mom and daddy looking at you with the bright eyes saying, oh, no. Or you're going to have to move somewhere less expensive. Sometimes it's a family plan. We got to go and talk to our family and say, hey, look, I'm really trying to get out of debt. Could you help me for a year? Could you help me for 6 months? Just so I can get on my feet. And be honest. You know the biggest secrets in the world is, one of the biggest secrets kept is our financial situation. We won't tell anybody, but we'll go to the bank and we'll tell them. But we won't tell our family we broke. And stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. They just refinanced. They don't have no money either. They look good. They drive good. Because they're refinancing and refinancing. They have no equity anymore in their house because their house is mortgaged to the hilt. That may not be true about everybody, but that's true about a lot of bodies. And so we don't have to do that if we would sacrifice. Sacrifice that car. Now, you take that car and you sell it. I'll tell you, you can call Carvana. You don't even have to take the car to them. They'll come get it from you. You put the car in there. They ask you what condition the car is in. You tell them the mileage on the car, and they will give you an offer within 3 minutes. They'll come back, blink. I know it worked. I've sold them my cars. I know it works. And not only did I sell them a car, but I also traded my car when I sold my car, and I had more than $8,000 left over. That car started to look a little different now, don't it? Because that car can put money in your pocket. If you kept your car up, you can sell that car. And some of the cars they have are late model cars, and they'll buy them. And you can take that money and get yourself what we call a hoopty. Get yourself a little car that's mechanically sound and drive it till the wheels fall off. Or if you have a car and it's paid off, keep it. Don't make the mistakes I made. Can I tell y'all a secret? I sat down and I added up just the car I own now and the last 2 cars I bought. When I add them up, cars totaled. I hate to write it up here. Say it with me now. $180,000. 3 cars. I like good cars. Not even good, I just like nice cars. I like luxurious cars. And that's a personal preference. You know, you can drive what you desire to drive and not drive what I desire to drive. But change your mindset, change your life. That hit me like a ton of bricks when I looked at this on Tuesday night. I said, girl, you spent $180,000 on, that's another house. I could have bought that house debt-free, rented it out, had some income coming in. I almost got sick on my stomach. We don't do the math. We've got to learn to do the math, people. We've got to learn to do the math. 3 cars. That's approximately $60,000 a car. That one's a little over that. But even at that, the base of it, 3 cars. Now, I hate to say it, that is my 19th car. Can you imagine how much I've spent on cars in all these years? And then I sat there and I was dumbfounded. Because if, in fact, I had the money, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, 50% of the car, putting that kind of money down on cars, if I had that money with just simple compound interest, I would more than likely have probably over $2.5 million sitting in the bank, but all I had was cars. And I don't even have them anymore. Change your mindset. Change your future. Now I know better. I can do better. You're getting the information. You're learning from my mistakes. So that's why I do this, because I want people to know you could take and put that money away and you could purchase your house debt-free. You don't have to go to a bank and get a mortgage. You will be able to purchase your own home and owe nobody nothing. And all it is the sacrifice of a few cars. Isn't that amazing? So as we went down this budget, I found you a total of $945.41. So you've now paid everything. You're above your budget. You have money left over. Because remember, you were down to $145.16. So your budget is no longer busted. You are well above your budget. And you can move forward. Before we go any further, anybody got any questions? I said this time I was going to make sure I can let people ask their questions. before I move along, because I know I talk fast. But I want you all to understand it's always going to be a decision, and you're going to be the one that has to make that decision. And when you make the decision, it's always going to be in your best interest, and it will always benefit you if you just simply learn to sacrifice. Everything we do financial is one thing. It all equals a decision. Do I buy this or do I pay that? Do I live over here or do I live over there? That neighborhood looks a little better, but that neighborhood is going to cost you $4,000 more. You may can afford the rent, but can you afford the HOA fee? You know, people will buy a house and they don't think about the future. HOA fees increase every year. You know, they started out $50 a month. 5 years, it might be $600 a year. You can afford the mortgage, but now you can't afford the HOA fees. They will put you out over the HOA fees, and they will take your house. They will sue you, take what you paid for because you didn't pay your HOA fees. We've got to think these things. We've got to do the math. Don't let people just sit you down and you just mindlessly sign off on things. We've got to really pay attention, and then we make that decision. We do the math, and then we move forward. But remember, we're going to always have to get to the place of sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice this in order to get that. And once you do that, your trajectory, your financial future changes, and it changes for the better. You're going to feel better about yourself, number one, because you're going to get up and you won't have all that weight on your shoulder. It's burdensome to just get in your car and you're driving. Y'all know what? A debt-free car drives better. And if you clean it up, it really drives like a new car. As a matter of fact, you can go and you can make any car, it can be 22 years old, and you can make it smell good, smell new. Go to the automotive store and buy the new car smell. Spray your car, get in and drive like you just bought it. And you got money in your pocket. That's the key. Because when you sacrifice, there is going to come a time, and the end of your time, when you do your budgets right and you start to get everything in line to start your debt reduction plan, you're going to be able to take that and you will get to the next hurdle and you will start to pay your debt down, and then you'll be able to drive anything you want, any car you want. So those 3 cars, you won't even think about looking at it in your rearview mirror. Y'all, I still get woozy every time I look at it. 3 cars. 3 cars equal a house. I just find that hard to believe. I told my husband, I said, I just can't believe it. It turned my stomach to believe I put that kind of money in a car when we could have owned another house with no debt on it. And now you could be charging $2,000, $3,000 a month in rent. That's surplus money coming into your house every month. But no, it was 3 cars. So when I look at it now, I always see 3 cars equal $180,000. That could have been in the bank. Do you know what kind of interest $180,000 could bring you a month? Over $1,000 a month interest, well over $1,000 at 5%. Can you imagine what you can do with that? Just even saving let's do the math. What was their car payment? Go back to it. $350.25, right? Just like the latte factory. 12 months. That's $4,203 in a year. Save that for 5 years. That's $21,015. In 5 years, you could have over $21,000 instead of that car payment. So keeping that car, y'all gonna laugh. Dick said I could use him. Dick kept his Toyota Previa for 21 years. That's 17 years without a car payment. Can you imagine if we had put that car payment into the bank? So this is what I do personally. I'll tell you my secret. My cars are debt-free. Where it used to go to the bank to pay my payment, it still goes to the bank, but it's in an account I can't touch because it's not local. I put it into an online bank where I can't get to it. I don't have a debit card, so I can't withdraw from it. The only way I can move money is I have to physically do it online myself, which I'm not going to do because that's not the purpose. It has a mission. It has a job. Its job right now is to grow. So that money is going every month into the bank, just like as if I was still paying for it. Eventually, I don't know yet what it's going to be, but it's eventually going to materialize into something. Haven't come up to what it's going to be yet, but I know it's going to be something. But you know what I'm doing every month? I'm sacrificing. I'm sacrificing that payment so that it will go and grow. Prayerfully, it'll get up here where those 3 cars ended up costing me. I still can't believe it. Can y'all just think for a minute? Add up what you paid for the last few cars you owned, and you will see how much money has slipped through your hands. It is just mind-boggling. Every time I look, 3 cars, Doris, $180,000 in steel and rubber, just to go from A to B when they should see its way to the bank. But it didn't. It went to a bank, it just wasn't ours. It went to a banking establishment like I showed you earlier on. But we can do better than this, can't we? So we found a total of $945.41 in this budget that was busted. They were negative $905.16. I beg to tell you this evening, all of you have a budget, whether you're keeping it on paper or not. You have a budget that you can find money in, but it's going to take sacrifice. Maybe you won't pay $7.45 and spend $37 a week. You won't spend over $700, $1,795 a year, over $1,000 a year to drink latte. Isn't it hard to believe? That's why we got to change our mindsets. We have to start looking at these things a little differently. And as we look at them different, life starts to look a little different. Life starts to look a little rosier for us. So I hope you all got something out of this budget. So when you go home, you may not do it tonight, or you may do it over the weekend, or you might even do it next week. You will see that you have a sheet where you'll be able to start your own budget. There is, if you're techie, I use online www.everydollar.com, which is from Dave Ramsey. I love that electronic budget. It's on my phone, so anytime I go into a store, I bring it up and I put in there what I spent. It will deduct it. It'll let me know what I have left. It does all of that for you. It's almost mindlessly doing, and it'll keep you on track. Mint.com, they also have different type of electronic budgets you can use. There are lots of them. Bankrate.com, they have some that you can use. It's your preference. I kind of lean people towards the every dollar because it's so easy. It takes less than 10 minutes to actually fill it out and make your selections, because you customize a budget, remember, to what you have. Your budget may not look like my budget. My budget may not look like your budget. Everybody's budget is going to be different. And if you use that application or that app, you'll be able to customize it to your household. And if you are right now getting to the point where you are reducing your debt, you're trying to annihilate your debt, you won't be putting, like they were, you will not be putting your money in your savings. The first thing you're going to do is save $1,000 for an emergency fund. So if anything should happen, you would have that $1,000. On average, they said most emergencies, especially household emergencies, are usually, on average, sometimes it can be over, sometimes it can be a whole lot under, are usually $1,000 or less. but I've had some things happen that were well over $1,000. But I've had things that have gone to be fixed that were well under $1,000. So if you at least have that $1,000 set aside, you will have that as your cushion if anything should happen for an emergency. Everything else we'll look at, you're going to take that money towards your debt. And it also has, some people, it should be in your binder, some people have irregular paydays, or they work on commission or different areas like that. So there's a monthly spend plan I had also created, because they have to calculate their dollars and cents a little different. So if you, a person, and you work on commission, or you only get paid monthly, you would take your budget, just like we did the budget that was up earlier, you would take that, and at the top, you would put what your base amount is, because 99% of us will have a base pay amount. And so you will work from that. And from that, if you got a $3,000 bonus or a $6,000 bonus, once you receive that bonus, you plug that in, and you start to categorize them in a row, and you go down that list. You pay all the things above it, but when that extra money hits, you start paying the things that are underneath your regular, normal expenses. So that's how you deal with it when you have irregular pay. I know people that are hairdressers said that I don't get paid the same all the time, so I don't know how to budget my money. That's one way that I had showed her how she can budget her money, and it's working for her. So you all can use those same techniques. If you're getting just a certain amount here and you're making more, and tomorrow we'll discuss how you can make even more money. Everybody wants more money, so we'll discuss that tomorrow. But right now, it's 7:15. Let's take a 10, 15-minute break, and then we'll be right back with you. Are y'all ready for a break? Amen. Let's take a break. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you all got something to drink or got a little bite to eat, because now we're going to take a look at credit. It'll be our next segment here. When we talk about credit, one thing we have to ask ourselves about first is credit worthiness. Are you credit worthy? Can you qualify for a loan? Can you qualify to get credit cards, rent, mortgage? How many of you receive in the mail constantly? Every time your mailbox is bombarded, you get these things, and when you open them, you see this. And they're offering you credit cards galore. Every time you look, they're in your mailbox. Well, one day I actually sat down and I started to read this thing. And I was like, this thing is a trap. Now, this one came, the company, I'm going to say their name, because they need to be out here, Capital One. Now, we're going to take a look at our credit scores shortly here coming up. And having very reasonable credit score, they said the interest rate, the APR, the annual percentage rate, 27.99. It's illegal to charge anybody over 30% because they call that loan sharking. This is very close. It's walking the line. And this is legal. The cash, they wanted over 29%. So if you withdraw cash, because you can take a cash advance off of your credit card, but it always costs you more than just using it as a regular credit card. Cash advances are always going to be more expensive, and they vary by the prime rate. The prime rate can go up and down almost every day, and we've been seeing that with the pandemic. You've been seeing how it has been impacted. All of our lives have been impacted by the pandemic in one way or manner or another. Whether you have a credit card and they went up on your interest rate, just about everybody that owns a credit card has now looked at their credit card rate and not only seeing that their credit card rate went up, but have you paid attention to your credit card bill? They also took late fees up from $30 and $35 to $40. I looked at one and it said the new late fee is going to be July 1, $48. That tells me don't be late. Don't ever be late paying that particular credit card, because they're going to hit you with a $48 fee. And so it started to explain on here, how do you calculate your balances? How do you calculate what we pay? How do you calculate how your payment is broken up? And it goes on and on and on and on. Then it talking about my application fee and what happens after it's received. It just tells you all this stuff, but what it doesn't tell you is it strangles you. This stops you from living life the way you want to. It tells you everything but that. It tells you how to get in debt, but it don't tell you how to get out of debt. It tells us how to apply, whether you have a 0% or that 27.99%. How do I apply that? One thing, if it's in very small print, when you read this and also when you read your credit card bill, it explains to you about your payment. It quietly says this. When you pay your credit card payment, before any amount is applied to the principal, interest is paid, and the amount left over is put on whichever debt is the highest. So if you got a couple cars with them, all of your cars may not see a payment. And then you end up with a late payment, and you try to figure out, I paid them. Well, you never read the small print. Because it tells you it will apply that to the principal of the one with the highest balance. So if you got two Capital One cards and you're paying the minimum, one may not get a hit. And you're going to get that additional $48 charge on your bill. So they're going to hit you with that, plus your next bill is now due. And if you're only paying the minimum, that's how we find ourselves in so much trouble when we pay our credit card bills and we only pay the minimum. If you pay the minimum on $1,000 balance on your credit card, do you know how long it'll take to pay it off? 20 years. $1,000. They don't tell you this stuff, but it's on there. We don't pay attention. We don't read. If we read the small print, they show you examples. If you pay the minimum of the $20 per month, it would take you 20 years to pay that full $1,000 balance off. Who wants that sitting around the house with them like their friend came to visit? Send them home. Get out. Go home. You don't want no $1,000 hanging around your neck for 20 years. You're going to have to put a little extra to pay that down, so you'll pay less interest per month, which saves you money. It also brings your principal down quicker, and every month that your principal goes down, interest also declines. So you will pay more on your principal. So that's how you start to eradicate that. And we're going to take a look at that in a little bit. Now here it also we talked about a mortgage. You can get rent, credit cards, loans. But now, have y'all pulled your credit report? Anybody take a look at that? All these heads bobbing left, right. That means no. So you've not taken a look at your credit report. One thing you want to do, there are 3 companies that are reporting agencies. One is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You can, once a year, you can go to each one of them, and Credit Card Karma, that's with K-A-R-M-A, Karma with a K, you can go to creditcardkarma.com and you can request a free credit report. Be careful. Credit Card Karma can get you, because you be punching in stuff and then it'll ask you for your credit card number. No. You don't have to pay for it. So you have to be careful where you're clicking, because once you click, they want your money. And they're going to charge you for a free credit card report, your credit report. Or you can go to each one individually.com, Equifax.com, Experian.com, and TransUnion.com, and download it. If you've got a lot of credit and you've had credit for years, you will have a huge credit report. If you don't, you will have a small credit report. But whether large or small, you want to pull your credit report. I had a copy. I keep my credit report, but I put mine on, I save it. This is in my credit report. You all remember last year I talked to you guys at our conference last year? And 850 is a perfect credit score. I had a perfect credit score last year. 850, I was so proud. It took me years, a long time to get out of debt and to get that score. 5 months ago, paid the house off. Guess what happened? My credit score took a huge hit. 34 points. It is now, 3 weeks ago, I looked at it with 816. Last night, I looked at it. They said, congratulations, your score has gone up, 821. Because your FICO score or your credit card score is your debt score. When you have no debt, your credit score goes down. So as you pay your debt down, your credit card just goes ka-plink. But that's a good ka-plink. I don't mind taking that kind of hit. You won't mind taking that kind of hit, because after a while, it won't matter. Because instead of buying 3 cars, you're going to have that kind of money in the bank. So you won't care if your credit card is a 10. Within a year, my credit card score will probably be 0. Because it's going to continue to go down, even though they told me just went up them 2 little points. Like that's supposed to mean something. I was supposed to just go, and I know what they were trying to do. That's their way of saying, encouraging you to go spend. Go use that credit card again. Start running up again. Didn't work, because I won't be doing that. Because it feels good not to have all of those bills come to your inbox anymore. And so as we start to look at our credit and look at our credit scores, we want to do it. Most people don't want to take a look at their credit score. Some people are afraid. Can we have the next slide, please? We're going to take a look at your credit score, and you'll be able to see what's on there. And you also have it in your book. Now, they start all the way down there. When I started out, a total of 8, I think it's almost been 8 years, about 8 years ago, getting my credit and paying off all my debts. I was well under the 200s, I think 212, something like that. And so being down that low, I couldn't get credit to get a pencil. Nothing. So you see, I was beneath bad. But as you start to work on your credit, it will start to go up. And they will send you little notices along the way to just encourage you. You're doing a good job. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. Fair is between 630 and 689. 690 to 719 is good. And 720 to 850 is considered excellent. Less than 20% of Americans have an excellent credit score. You are in a very elite group when you finally hit that group. You're able to purchase just about anything once you hit over 715, 720. You got to make it up the mountain to that, though. And sometimes that's a steep climb, but you can make it. You can get your credit score up to that. And one thing we have to do, we have to just, for a season, we have to just stop buying. We have to sacrifice and just kind of take a good look. I used to say take a periscopic look, but we need to put it under a microscope and really look at what we're doing with our money. And as you pay your debts down and you see your credit score, don't get upset because it's going down. Get happy. Start to say, oh, I'm doing something right because my credit score took a hit. And if it took a hit for good, that's one thing. But if it's taking a hit for something you did wrong, try to find out where you went wrong and correct it. Don't beat yourself up unless you do it habitually. Now, if we continually, make errors where our credit is concerned, we may have to step out and say, I need help. And it's okay to have a cry of help because the cry of help gets an answer. But if you stay silent and just sit in it, it won't go away. Your debt is not going to go away until you do something about your debt. Now, credit bureaus have your employment history on there. And so they tell how long you've been working on your job. Most people would not give you credit unless you've been working consistently. Let me say it again. Unless you've been working consistently at a job for 2 years or more, they are more apt to say you are a higher credit risk. Now, there are some people out here that will give you a loan. People like payday loans. Y'all heard of them? Not only are they dangerous, title loans. You have to give them the title to your car. And trust me, they don't give you a week. They don't give you a month. The day you were supposed to pay, they're coming for you the next day. And they will have that car jacked up and take it out of your driveway because they have ownership of it. It's no longer yours. It becomes their property. And they will have we used to call them back, I'm aging myself, we would call them the snatch man, but they're actually repossessors. And I thought about this, and I said, Lord, do I share this or not? I've had all these cars, but there was a time that I had a car. I said it was never repossessed. The credit union said it was. But I said, I called y'all and told y'all come and get it. But when I looked at my credit report, it said repossession. And I argued up and down. It was not repossessed. I told you to come and get that car. I couldn't afford to keep paying for this car. So I told them to come and get it. but my credit report said I had a repossession. Not only, the worst thing you can do is allow them to repossess it, because it goes from what you owe to what you really owe. Because you not only owe the amount that was left on that loan, but now you got to pay their legal fees. You got to pay storage fees. And I was like, but I told y'all to come get the car. And then it was on me to pay all of that, when all I had to do, I could have got a part-time job. I could have did a lot of things and be able to pay that, but I didn't do it. And sometimes selfishness would tell us that, oh, I'm not doing all that to pay them. Just take the car. And then we get real up on ourselves and we go get another car. And we'll pay 29% interest for that next car. That 29% ends up being almost another car payment on top of the car payment you just got rid of. So you're not helping yourself. So if you are finding yourself in that position, this is the first thing you should do. Call your creditor. Talk to them. Let them know that you're trying. Pay something on it. I don't care what it is, you start paying them. The reason you want to start paying them is because as long as you're paying them, they are more apt not to take you to court. And even if you end up in court, the judge will be like, well, it looks like they're trying to get ahead. And you may get a judge that will give you favor and will not allow them to repossess your car. So you may have some extra time in there. So it pays to do due diligence in talking to your creditors. Don't hide from them, because they're going to find you. And today, it is so easy to find your car, because inside your car, there is not only a code number, but there is a little indicator. When I turned my car on, I kept saying, why all them lights on there? And all these lights go across my dash, these little red lights. That's because they can locate my car from anywhere in the world. They know where my car is. They find them, but see, there's no debt on it, so I don't have to worry about nobody taking it. But if somebody stole it, I'll know exactly. It's at 1222 Park Avenue. I know exactly where my car is. It'll actually bring up a picture and show you it's sitting in the driveway. So don't think you're getting away with it. Do what's going to be comfortable to you and what will also bring favor on you doing the right thing. Always, keep in touch with your creditors before you start getting so far behind that they said, well, if you had called us when you missed 2 payments, that's what they usually say to you. But when you get to the point where you've getting ready to miss a payment, or you really know you're struggling, call. Single parents, sometimes you may get somebody on the phone that have a heart, and they'll understand. They may have been in your position once or upon a time. And they would say, but this is what I'm going to do. I had this happen with a utility bill back home, and I called them about it, and it make you want to cry. And I'm over that. That's been a long time. But I also remember what it feels like to have to call them and say, I can't pay my light bill, and you all are going to come in 2 days to turn up my light, and I have a little boy. And the lady both of us was pretty much crying on the phone, because she said, I'm a single parent, and we were comparing notes. And she said, this is what I'm going to do. She said to me, she would put my notice at the bottom of the stack. Whew. So that, I think, was a Thursday. That Thursday, they didn't turn my lights off. But she said, I don't know when yours is going to come up. So as soon as you can, try to get something in here. And so I did that, and I got a little bit of money together and was able to take it in there. Then I ran into a lady, and she told me about a program called MEAP, Maryland Energy Assistance Program. I'm going to tell you something right now. Never be afraid to take a hand up, because it's not a handout. Sometimes we need some help. I'm not saying get over on people. I'm saying if you really need the help, get the assistance, the help that you need, especially if you've been a tax-paying person. You've paid into that fund because we all have paid into that fund. Every time we pay a bill, a certain part is set aside for those programs. And so it's not shameful. It's not embarrassing. I'd rather go there and talk to them and fill out that paperwork than I was going to let my son and I sit in the dark. And so what they did is they gave me a grant. And the grant ended up paying my light bill for like the whole year. I didn't have a light bill. And it was like this woman fell out the sky to me. She was in the store and we got to talking, and I don't know why I was telling her my problems, but it's a good thing I did because she introduced me into the Maryland Energy Assistance Program. Now, when I got up on my feet, I also started to notice when you look at your bill, it also has a spot where it asks if you would like to contribute. So now I pay it forward. I'm not even there anymore, but here, there's also on our utility bill, there's a line where it asks you if you would like to donate. So once you do better, help somebody else do better. Remember that somebody helped you along. Pay it forward. And so we can help ourselves, and then things will start to literally gravitate toward you. Good things will start to actually come and start happening in your life over something that's small. I don't care if it's only $2 over what your electric bill is. You're going that $2 and somebody else's $2 and 50 other people's $2 ends up in a pot that will help a lot of people in that community. Or because the money stays in your community where you are. So that money comes back to help them. So always get yourself in position to receive, but also be ready to also pour out after you've had help with that. Now, if anybody looked at their FICO score and you don't understand what the FICO score is, it is the Fair-Isaac Act. Bill Fair and Earl Isaac in 1956, they formed a company that started to collect all of this information, employment, bill, how long you've had your bill, what type of bill you had. Is it an individual account? Is it a joint account? And they did all of this, and they came together, and they formed FICO. And the FICO is what makes up our score, which Dave Ramsey called your debt score, because truly it is. It just shows every creditor how much you owe and who you owe it to. So every debt you have, well, I won't say every, because sometimes they do miss some stuff. And sometimes there's stuff on your credit report that you didn't do. So that's why it's imperative that you try to take a look at your credit score every year. If you all have never looked at your credit score, I encourage you to pull your credit report. As a matter of fact, homework assignment, pull your credit score tonight. Before you come here tomorrow, I want you to come in and say, I pulled my credit report. I want you to pull your credit report so you can see what the world is seeing about you. One time, and I told you this works for Christians and non-Christians alike, but one thing I realized is my credit report tells the person that's looking at it a lot about me. They see if I don't pay my bills, or they see if I pay my bills on time, because it goes down there and it says whether you pay your bills on time. When I looked at it last night, I was like, it gave me a breath of fresh air, because as I went down it, every last one, and at the end it said, excellent, 100% pays their bills on time. I didn't always have that. That meant a lot to me. That will mean a lot to you when you look at your credit score and your credit report. Yes, I've had bumps along the road, but if somebody followed my story, they would see me go from that to this, from glory to glory. It took some sweat. It took some working part-time jobs. It took some creating stuff and selling it. And it took what? Cussing church. Sacrifice. Sacrifice. It took a lot of sacrificing. And I always had to come to the pinnacle of making a decision. Every financial movement is going to have to be made by a decision. You're going to have to make a decision. Now, Lenders use our FICO score for the most part. The majority of lenders use your FICO score. Banks use the Vantage score. Most people don't know what the Vantage score is. It's similar to the FICO score, but their Vantage score can sometimes go a little deeper. Because see, with Vantage, those people have called your job, and they see what kind of employee you may be. Like if you're getting a security clearance, a lot of times those people have gone to companies that use the Vantage score because they have to look a little deeper to see if you are financially responsible. If back in the day, I would have never, ever been able to get a TS or secret with the credit score I had. But as you moved up, you was able to, because my Vantage score became different. As they look at the Vantage score, we know the FICO score goes to 850. The Vantage score goes to 900. The funny thing is this, my Vantage score is still 900, even though my FICO score dropped. And I didn't quite understand that. And so I started looking at it again throughout the week. And I found out that there's some little differences in the Vantage score and in our FICO score. Vantage score, like I said, it looks a little more in depth to how we've kept our credit and how we pay our bills and how we go to work and things like that, how you kept your mortgage, how you paid your rent. It goes down more and more in depth. So they get a better financial snapshot of you than them looking at our FICO score. They will sometimes pass over our FICO score and give us credit, but at a higher rate. Vantage, they won't. Vantage will stop you in your tracks, say, nope, you're not worthy. Can't get it yet. So we just keep plugging along until we get to the place where we can get our Vantage score up. And when you go to the bank, ask them. Don't be afraid if you got a local banker, and everybody should have a local bank. Everyone should have a local bank, a brick and mortar that they can walk into. I don't care if you only keep the minimum in there. So and get to know these people. Go in there, introduce yourself, talk to them. And I'll tell you why. And I know she don't mind me using her name. She's retired. She was such a blessing to me. I'll never forget her. And she never forgets me because I run into her in the store and she hugs me all the time. At Cedar Point, when I was fixing my credit, every time I think about her, she was the manager of the bank. And I would go in there and I would talk to her. I found out what kind of coffee she drank. I found out she liked French vanilla. I found out she liked donuts. I found out a lot about her. And so I would go in there sometimes and I would just say, how you doing? And stick my head in the door. And I said, this is for you. And a few times she just looked at me kind of funny. After a while, I started going in there and just talking to her all the time. And I would sit down and I said, look, I want to learn about this. Can you teach me about the FICO score? Can you teach me about how they do my credit? Can you teach me about why this is this way? And I can get it done this way over here, but over there, they'll tell me no. And she started to teach me. And so I kept doing that. And so one time I went in and I said, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if I can't get a loan. And so I went in and I asked for a loan for $500. And guess what? Hallelujah. Guess what they did? They turned me down. I was so happy, and I thought about I gave her coffee. I took her donuts. And I went and I asked her, I said, why did they turn me down? She said, because you have not been working consistently for 2 years. I said, but you see my credit report. I've been paying my bills. I've been getting stuff. And she said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to fight for you. Because on Tuesday, we hold our shareholders. Now, the shareholders are the people that say who gets the loans and who don't at Cedar Point. And she said, I'm going to go and I'm going to fight for you. I was like, oh, snap. She going to fight for me. She went in there and she called me and she said, Miss Sullivan, your money is going to be in your account tomorrow morning. She fought for me because she remembered the cups of coffee. She remembered the donuts. I made myself, I personalized myself. She knew my face. She still know my face. I'm telling you, I went into the store, and this was a sad occasion, funny rabbit trail. I go into Wise, and this lady is frantic. The woman had walked past her cart, and she said, my husband kept getting on me all the time. I always leave my purse in the cart, and I leave my purse unzipped. Well, the woman had walked past and grabbed her wallet and ran out the grocery store. And I was like, oh, my goodness. And she was crying, and had called my husband, and she said, he's just a fussing because he's always on me about this. And I just hugged her. And she said, oh, Miss Sullivan. And I said, can I pray for you? I know this is a financial conference, but we still Christians. And she allowed me to pray for her so she could calm down. And then me and her started talking. And I said, but I remember you went and you fought for me. Can I call the police for you? Can I call your husband for you? Because I'm willing to fight for you now. And I'm going to stay here. And she said, well, I saw the girl, and she had this kind of funny like hair, and she walks up and down the street all the time. I said, when the police get here, you'll be able to tell her what she looks like. They did catch the woman. She did eventually get her wallet back. But I say all that to say this. When you make yourself known, people will notice you when you need to be noticed. Sometimes we sit in the back of the class, but the student that sits in the back of the class, teacher really pays more attention to them than the kids up front. They're not forgotten, they're not invisible, and they're never lost. And so make yourself known to your local bank. I'm not saying you have to take coffee. I just did that. But ask them, hey, I told her one time, I told a girl, I said, oh, she got flowers. What's going on? She said, it's her birthday. I stuck my head and I said, oh, happy birthday to you. I'm not going to sing because my voice not that good, but happy birthday. Just make yourself known. It can carry a lot of weight for you. Somebody might go in and fight for your first loan to get your credit back up, to get things started. And then she told me, she said, well, you know what, Miss Sullivan? What you could do is if you really want to start out and building your credit, not only you pay this loan back, she said, but get yourself a secure credit card. I said, I ain't think about that. And so what I did with the $500, I took that $500 and I opened a secure credit card. And that was my first credit card after starting over again. And I was able to do that because of the information she gave me. All this information tonight means nothing if you don't apply it. I took the information and I applied it and it worked. So I'll be looking at you all down the road and I'm going to look at you and all you got to do is do like this because that's going to let me know you working it. And you're going to be encouraged. I definitely am going to be encouraged. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. I'll go in there and I'll fight for you if it's necessary. But I know you all can do this. You're able to do this. You can do this. Now, higher your score is, the higher you can go in what you're able to borrow. What people don't understand is today, your insurance companies look at your FICO score. They look at your neighborhood, what zip code you're in, where your house is located. They use all of those different elements to decide how much you're going to pay. And they just started that right before the pandemic. They said they started to add that for interest rates, for your mortgage rates, for your loan rates, auto loans, everything. In addition to any perks that you would get from like hotels and things like that. All of that is kind of wrapped up into a ball, and they'll say, okay, now let's look at their FICO score. Let me see if this person is credit worthy or worthy of getting something from me. I don't ever want you to be in a place where you have to look at somebody to deem you to be credit worthy. This is why I want you to get out of debt. So you can buy anything you want, anytime you want. and you set the limit on what you're willing to spend. They don't tell you how much you have to spend. Now, there's one other one that Equifax is the only credit bureau that collects information on. This is the third one, and it's called the Beacon score. The Beacon score is another one that most people never heard of. Most banks, in addition to Vantage, they use the Beacon score. That score goes up to 900 as well. Beacon score has all of the same information in it as the FICO and a little more in-depth as the Vantage score has. When they take that, they'll go, okay, this score is going to reveal everything I need to know about this person in 1 to 10 or 20 or how many ever pages it takes to get to the bottom of what your credit report looks like. So when you go to that account on tomorrow or next week, whenever you decide to go and take a look at your credit report, I want you to make sure they have your name right. For years, they had my name as Doris E. Sullivan. My middle initial is D. That had to be corrected. That one difference could make a difference between them looking at your credit and looking at somebody with a 2 for their credit rating. Something that's minute makes a huge difference. So you want to look at that. You go from that, you look at your address. They not only have your current address, but they will have the address of every place you've ever lived in. And usually they go back 10 years, just like getting security clearance. The minimum they go back is 10 years. And I'll tell you why. Everything on your credit report stays for 7 years, with the exception of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy stays 10. And every 7 years, and you know, the world may not see this as so, but in the Bible, every 7 years, the earth rested. They could plant nothing, they could do nothing. And when I thought about that, I said, wow, they actually took a biblical principle and they're putting it to use in a secular environment. Every 7 years, everything is canceled, everything was thrown out. Every 7 years, all of those things that were bad on your credit report, they start to roll off. You look at them, this is the difference. If you have something, when you look at your credit report tonight, now I'm not telling you to cheat anybody, but I am going to tell you a little secret. If it's on there and it's 7 years, don't poke a dead bear. Don't call him and wake him up. If it's on there and it's been 7 years, and yes, you want to clean up your credit, you don't call the people and say, hey, I owe you. No, you don't do that. What you do is this. You let it go ahead and it's going to roll off. If, in fact, they contact you, then you talk to them about how to eradicate and take care of that debt. But you don't have to call them because that is going to now roll off. This opposite of that is what happens is this. If you owe a bank, a credit union, any banking institution, when you haven't paid after a certain amount of time, they will charge that debt off. So that debt is now considered to be a dead debt, and they get to write it off. You are free now of that debt unless you're not free in your mind of that debt. Personally, I went back and I paid people that I owed that had already been charged off because that's what the Lord led me to do. He may not lead you all to do that, and then some of you he may. To me, it was about my integrity. And when he told me to do it, I called them. For the most part, most of them were gracious. Some of them was like, why you call us? You know, they've been dead for 5 years. But that's what I was led to do. Some of them even told me, well, if you send us half or if you send us a third, you don't have to worry about it. So even in that, favor was shown, trying to do the right thing. Yes, ma'am. That was my next secret. That's why I say don't poke the sleeping bear, because it's from your last payment. So 2 years, 3 months, and 1 day, you decide, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take care of this, and you make a payment. Even if it's not what the payment is. You pay something on that. That debt now starts again. That time clock of 7 years starts over. And so now they're going to deal with you. They'll call your house. They'll call your job. Debt collectors will call your job. Now, the secret to that is this. You tell them, do not call my job. And if they continue to call your job, now you have an action against them that you can actually sue them civilly. And many people have done it. A lady got, y'all know the phone company, so I won't say their name. She owed money. She knew she owed the money. And this was on the news, so this isn't something, And she said he kept calling her. He started using foul language, and he wanted everything up to her firstborn child, and he was going to come to the house, all kind of just odd stuff. She ended up getting an attorney. For her $200,000 and some bill, she got a civil settlement over $100,000 because they are not allowed to do that when you tell them, do not call me. Do not call my house. Do not call my job. Do not call my cell phone. I will pay my bill when I'm able to pay my bill. And they have to live with that, or they have to take action and take you to court to get a judgment. So if you find yourself in that place, and we'll talk about debt, starting to get out of debt, there are ways to deal with that. You, again, like I said earlier, you want to talk to your creditor. They're not your friends, but you can talk to them. Some of them will listen. Some of them are very stiff-necked. They know one thing. Some of them read from a script that they're given. You owe da-da-da-da. You have to pay this by. If you don't pay this by, we will start to. That person really isn't going to hear you. But if you get somebody on the phone that has a heart, they will be willing to work with you if they see you are really, really trying to take care of this debt and you're not trying to scound them. Or like me, tell them I ain't home back in the day. So that's the worst thing you can do. And please, people, please, you on Facebook, you on YouTube, please do not involve your children in your debts. Do not tell your children to tell that debtor that you are not home when you're sitting at the table next to them. That's not good. And what kind of example are you setting before your child? So will they grow up and tell their debtors, oh, I'm not here, and they tell their children see that, and their children, it becomes part of our legacy. We don't want that. We want them to see that we are people of integrity and we're going to pay our bills. I can't pay you today, but I will be able to pay you if you give me 30 days or if you give me 2 months. I can see, as we say, I can see myself straight. And we've seen tonight that if you look deep into your budget, you can find money in your spending. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you all how to, probably within 3 months, I can tell you right now how you can have $100 saved. Every time you go to the store, you have to, at least minimum, you have to break $1. Every time. You take the difference and you put it in a jar. If you look at my wallet, I don't think I have any change right now. But usually what I do is this. I put the money in there on Fridays. I drop it in the jar. My jar is about this big. I think it used to have pineapples in it at one time when I first bought it. The last time I took it to the bank, and it's time to go now, I had $134 in that jar with nothing but change. It's effortless. And you say you don't have no money? You got a jar with $100 and some sitting in it. You do have money. You can dig in your sofa and find money. I bet right now if I go to your car, I can find money. Because you got money sitting in the change part. You got money all around you. You just got to change the way you see money and you will start to find money. And then you got to be a money hunter. Look for it. So as we do that, we continue on. We've looked at our FICO score. Understanding your credit is pretty easy. When you look at your credit report, you go down there again and you start to make sure all the information that they're talking about you is correct. If it isn't, you kind of notate it, and there's a part on there in Credit Karma and at all three of the websites that you can go in and you can tell them that I want to talk to you about this here. This isn't me, or this wasn't my debt. Especially people that have gone through divorce. Sometimes a husband and a wife, she may have a debt that wasn't your debt. He may have a debt and that wasn't her debt. And so you can look at that and you can tell them, wait a minute, even with the IRS, it's called the damaged spouse. You don't have to pay their debt. They will make it so that you will get your portion of your tax refund, and that person gonna pay their debt, and they will intercept their taxes. You don't have to weigh the burden of other people. There are ways that we can legally set this stuff aside and take care of it. We just have to be willing to do the work. You know, I had someone say, even when they talked about a car and they co-signed, one thing, this is the number one no-no in your life. Never, ever, never, ever, ever, never co-sign another man's debt. Don't co-sign for anyone. That means when you co-sign, that means that person that originally is buying this, let's say a car, they're no longer responsible. You're saying, I'm going to take care of that when they don't pay. So now they are second on that loan and you become first because you were the more credit-worthy person, because they need a co-signer because their credit wasn't good enough to get it in the first place. And so, number one, you don't want to do it, but if you do, there are absolutely no ways to get out of it, but there are ways to reduce it. You can talk to the creditor and, I'll repossess the car instead of you repossessing the car, and you do have the right to repossess that car. So you can have the car repossessed, and as I told you, call Carvana, call Vroom, take it to CarMax. Sell that car and pay that debt off and clear your name. And there's nothing that person can do because you have a contract. They may be mad at you for the next 10 years. And if they're family members, Thanksgiving might be a little funny around the table. May not be a whole lot of conversation going on, but at least that debt will be off you. And after a while, even both of your hearts will be a little lighter because the debt isn't on them. And you both can forgive each other, and you can move forward. Family fight, but we always stay together, and we stay tight. So we just have to, move beyond that. So, and friends, if you got a friend, friends are like the weather, fair today, stormy tomorrow. Do not, oh, girl, I got you. Come on, and we go in there and buy a car and co-sign, and she don't talk to you 2 weeks later. And then what does she do? Stop paying the car because she knows you're going to have to foot it. And she out getting the hair and nails done every time you see her, she look good, and you mad. Don't do that. Don't put yourself in that predicament ever. That's a sidebar. So if you're in it, now you understand, you can talk to the creditors and you can kind of talk with them and try to see what you can do to take care of that debt and get that debt out of your life. So as you continue on with that, the next thing you want to look at is after you got your credit report, is you want to decide now, I have gotten to the place where I'm going to give you these 10 tips to improve your credit score. Number one, always pay on time. Number two, this is so good. When I was typing this out, set up automatic payments so you are never late. You want to, instead of having to remember to pay a payment, set it up so it automatically gets paid. So if you're paying the minimum, at least the minimum is paid and you'll never be charged a late fee. If you decide to pay more, then you go on and you pay extra. So your interest will come down and your principal will be paid off sooner. You can do that on your own. And also, if you do your banking online with your credit cards, and the majority today of us do that, you can also set alerts for yourself. Notifications. I have notifications that they were just popping up on my phone a minute ago. Notifications that tell me what to do for everything. This is due, and you got to pay that then, and you got to go get this. Everything. I live off of this phone. I never thought I could say that because I don't want a smartphone. These phones are getting smarter than people. They tell you your heartbeat. They tell you how many steps you make a day. I mean, it tells me when it's time to drink water. You can have notifications for everything. So put that on there as well. Pay at least the minimum amount due monthly. Was 3. 4, as you are able, make additional payments monthly. 5, try to pay your credit card in full each month. 6, set up text or email alerts, we just talked about that, and have also included your balance and your due date. If you decide to use the Every Dollar app, it has a line on it. You can click it, and you can also set notifications. It will also keep track for you of what your balances are, and every time you make a payment, it will do the calculations for you. It will keep track of all of that for you. You don't have to have stacks of paper. That app will do that for you. And every time you click on each line to the right and you look at the top of it, it'll have all that right there, right in your view, so that you can immediately see it. And you'll start to smile because you'll be like, wow, I'd have paid it down to that. Try to pay your credit card in full each month instead of having a trail of credit card debt, if you are able. 7, only use 30 to 40% of your credit limit. We had up there, if you all could put the slide for factors in your credit score, please. There you go. The types of credit used is 10%, shouldn't be no more than that. New credit, you shouldn't have more than 10%. If you open a new card or something like that, no more than 10%. Length of credit makes up 15% of your credit score. Payment history is 35%, and amounts owed is 30. As you can see, the two highest is your history and how much you owe. Also, you want to be careful when you have credit cards to your utilization is how much that credit card amount is used. I'm going to give you a tip. Say you have, what can we use? Let's use a little even number. That's good. Say you have $300 on one card. You have $200 on another card. And you have a card with $800 on it. Your credit limit on with the $300 balance, you only have a $700 credit limit. The $200, you have a $400 credit limit. The $800, you got a $2,000 credit limit. What you want to do is you want to have this so that you aren't using the greater amounts on each card. This only leaves you $400. That's almost a third of your balance. If this card has $400 for its limit, you're using 50% utilization. That right there knocks your credit score down. That will knock your credit score down. Here's $2,000. You really haven't used not even a tenth, pretty much, a fifth of that. This will be okay. So this is what you want to do. With your credit card that has the higher balance, you want to move part of that over on that card so that it will bring that down to less than $200. And if you move 100 down to make that $900, you still have over $1,100 difference. So you still have room. You actually could put all of them on that credit card and would be okay. And your utilization your credit would not take a hit. You would do better doing that than having have it spread like that. But if they were greater amounts and you have greater limits, that's when you can start to use that to get quickly out of debt. Because you will bring down how much credit you're using. And when they look at it, they'll be like, oh, they're only using $800 worth, but they still got an extra $500 out here. But then they say you're a higher risk because, if you get into a tight space, they're going to think you're going to use this opened up credit here that's available to you. They're thinking you're going to be a higher credit risk because you're going to run and pick that credit up and use that card. And so we got to start thinking, using these cards to our advantage instead of using them to our disadvantage. Y'all get that? So that way you'll be able to help build your credit as you're trying to get out of debt, and you're doing them all simultaneously at the same time, and you're moving it. So when you look at your credit report, you want to take a look at that. How much is on my card and what can I do? If you have extra money sitting around the house somewhere, use that money to bring those amounts down. 8, monitor your credit report and correct any inaccuracies. 9, establish a long history of paying on time and using credit responsibly. And 10, apply for new credit, that 10%, apply for new credit in moderation. Having good credit means you have a record of paying your bills on time and you have been proven to be a good money manager. A benefit of good credit is you have great access if you should ever need to get a loan. Or you also can get good rates on your credit card that come with perks, credit card with different rewards. So it can help you in the long run. Our last 35 minutes, this is what we're going to take a look at. Are y'all ready to get out of debt? Amen. We are going to take a look at one of it used to be called the avalanche in the 70s when I first heard of Larry Burkett. He, on the radio station I used to listen at back home, he had a broadcast and it was called Money Wise. Well, on that, he used to talk about an avalanche. Now, the avalanche has now been replaced with the debt snowball. That snowball is quite interesting, to say the least. I love the debt snowball, though, I must say. The debt snowball is one of the strategies that is used by Dave Ramsey and many other people. It takes in consideration not like the avalanche used to do. The avalanche, you would go according to what your interest rate were. And you would put the highest interest rate on top and the lowest all the way down to the bottom. But what you're going to do with the debt snowball is different. It's backwards. That really doesn't clean that board well at all. But that's okay. There we go. That's a little better. I'll have it all cleaned up again by tomorrow. Okay. Now what the debt snowball does is you're going to go from the lowest amount to the debt to the highest. You disregard your interest rate. So I did a copy of one here. If you look at it, it has the medical bills on there. I believe that's the same one. Yeah, okay. You list your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate. You make minimum payments on all your debts except the smallest, the first one. Pay as much as possible on your smallest debt and repeat until each debt is paid in full. This is where the debt snowball. How many of y'all ever made a snowball? When you first make your first snowball, it's tiny. Then they get bigger, and they get bigger. As you add to them, they get bigger, and they get bigger. Before long, you got a snowman now. This is how you eradicate debt with the debt snowball. You're starting with the smallest one to the largest. The reason the debt snowball is so welcoming and inviting to people is it gives you a charge. Because as you pay off that small debt, you start to get excited. You start to feel good about yourself. You're getting that debt out of the way. So, after you've gone through your budget and you found money in your spending, you take that money on any amount of money that you have. Now, remember, first you got to have your $1,000 for your emergency fund. If you're sitting on $10,000 and you got $22,000 worth of debt, take that $10,000 and put it on your debt. Well, 9,000, because that 1,000 you want to put it in a money market because they're paying higher rates than most passbook savings, which are at 0.10, which is nothing. And leave it there and let it grow. You take that $1,000 there, let it sit in case you need it. But if you tap into your $1,000, you also got to remember this. Once you've used it, you've got to replenish it. You just don't use it and don't do anything about it. You have to put that money back. You start putting it back. So once you do that, it'll get better and better. So you're going to take that. I use $50 here. They had $50 additional money left that they were going to use for their money to reduce their debt. So their medical bills started out $500. They had a $2,500 credit card debt. They had a $7,000 car loan, $10,000 in student loan. They paid $50 a month for their medical bills, minimum. The minimum payment on the credit card is $63. Their car payment was minimum, but that was $135. They were paying the government back $96 a month. Now, you take that first $50 and you're going to put it on the medical bill. So that's going to be $50 plus the additional $50 you're using to eradicate your debt. So that new payment is now $100. Being as though it is $500, they're going to have that debt paid off in 5 months. Gone. Hallelujah. Sing, dance, scream, holler. Do anything, but don't go buy yourself nothing. You're not debt free yet, so you don't get to spend. You have to sacrifice. So now you're going to take that $100 and you will bring it down to the next bill, which is that credit card debt. It's $63 a month. So now instead of $63, you bring the $100 down, and that new payment is $163 a month. Y'all see it? So you're going to take that, you're going to keep paying that amount. Now the rest of them, the loan, a car loan, of course, is going to be $135. You're going to pay the $96 or whatever the next month after you pay that $96, whatever that next month's minimum, because it's going to go down because you're going to get interest and principal will also lower. You will pay the minimum amount only on that debt. And so you will keep doing that. Once they keep paying that $163, it's going to take them to pay that off. They would take that in them few months that it's going to take to pay that money off. After that's done, they would now have $163. You see, it started at 50. You went from 50 to 100. You went from 100 to 163. Now you're getting ready. That debt is gone. The $2,500 is out of here. You've paid it off. You're finished. You don't have to worry about it or look at it anymore. So you go and you say, well, what do I do now? I got $163 I can play with. No, you don't. You take that $163 and now you're going to pay that car loan off. That's $7,000. So you would now take $163 plus the car loan is $135. You are now going to be putting $298 a month on that car loan. even with interest, you will annihilate that. You are no longer on 48 months. You will pay that off in less than 2.5 years. It'll be gone, done. And if you receive more money, you can also, add to that and pay that off even sooner. Once you get down to that, your next debt will be the $10,000. And that's paid at $96 a month. You're going to take that $163 now, and you're going to add that to that $96. And that becomes $259 a month. I'm sorry, we were at distractions. Okay. We were at 163 and 135. 163 and 135, right. That's 298. So you're going to take the 298 and you're going to add that to the 96. And that'll become $394. You will now pay that $394 a month on your student loan. And before you know it, that student loan will also be eradicated and you will be debt-free. Can I get a hallelujah in the house? So do you see how fast it accumulates and helps you get out of debt when you're using the debt snowball and you're not concerning yourself with the interest rate? Because this one may be at 16%. This one could be at 8%. But if you're up here paying all of these big bills off and it's not hitting and eradicating it like it would be paying the smaller debts off first, it makes a greater impact. And that, as that makes a greater impact for you, it's going to be even a greater and quicker impact as you get out of debt. I want you out of debt. I want you to live a debt-free life. I'm with Dave Ramsey on that one. I do agree with him. One thing I do understand is this, though. I can teach this for the next 30 years, but everybody in the sound of my voice or people that will pick up and listen to this later via Facebook or YouTube and they stumble across it or somebody invite them to look at it, they may not choose to live a debt-free life. I can't make everybody do that. They may choose to have credit cards. What I hope they will take away is this. They will learn how to use credit wisely. They will learn how to become good money managers. Even the Bible says we ought to be good stewards with that which we've been entrusted in. And so as being a good steward, he said you're supposed to know the state of your herds and flocks and the conditions of your flocks. So what that means in the book of Proverbs is you're supposed to know the conditions of, see, they had herds and flocks. We have money. You need to know the condition of your money, and you need to know what your money is doing. And you need to know at all times. Never, ever go to bed and not know what your money is doing. Money should be working right now. My money working. Where am I? I'm right here. And it's working. It's working harder than I ever worked. And that's not bragging. It's truth. I sacrificed so that my money could work and I could retire. And be retired. I retired earlier than I had wanted to retire because of health reasons, but that all said, it worked out for my good. And I still was able to use and be benefactor to the finances I received in to pay my debt off. And now, money grows like plants. If you put a plant in the ground, you give it some good soil, it springs up like magic, except for Miss Dottie. God rest her soul. Y'all had to be here early to hear about Miss Dottie, but she didn't survive, and that's all right. But if you water it properly, you give it the proper atmosphere, you give it the right amount of sun, photosynthesis takes place, and it will start to blossom and bloom. I call that interest. So when you put money in the bank and you let it sit there, it'll blossom and bloom. You'll get some interest. So you won't have the same that you started out with. You're going to always leave with more. When you go to sleep tonight, if you have money in the bank, guess what? Your money is working. And guess what? I sleep good too. I don't toss or turn nothing. I just get up in the morning, but I don't run to the bank every day and look, ooh, what my money doing? What your money doing? What their money doing? No. Just know it's growing. Know it's working. And pat yourself on the back, not every day, but every now and then. You just say, thank you, Lord. Because, see, I didn't do this by myself. It took getting in the Word and digging out, being shown, going to conferences, paying for conferences. I've paid for what you are getting tonight. I can be honest with you. If you go to a conference, they start at $59 a ticket and upward of over $250. To sit with a financial planner costs $250 for 30 to 45 minutes. I've paid the price. You're getting it for free. Thank the Lord. Thank him. Thank him. I thank him for the knowledge. And then I had to take all these things that I've learned and I've had to apply them. Now, these strategies I've given you tonight, number one is this, to take home with you. Never bite off more than you can chew. Use credit wisely. Only spend what you are able to properly manage. That will keep you from getting into debt. And it'll keep you from getting headaches. It'll keep you from struggling. Another strategy is, how many of you receive zero balance transfers in the mail? Get them all the time. Where you can take this credit card and they'll say it'll be a 3% fee. That's really interest. They're getting it at the beginning instead of throughout the loan. Don't let them fool you. They get their money. So, but I'll show you what to do about that. You take that credit card amount and you put it over, you go from, if it's Capital One and you Citi sends it to you, you can take that and move it over to Citi for 0%. But one thing I like to say is always, always do the math. Sometimes that costs you more than paying on your regular credit card and leaving the balance alone. Because that 4%, depending on what it's against, so if you got $5,000 and they say it's if it's a 4% fee, that credit is going to cost you, as soon as my calculator wake up, it say, you haven't used me in a minute, Chica. It's going to cost you $200. So if it's going to cost you $200, balance transfer fee, BTF, and you have the same amount and you're paying less than, less than 12% interest on it, you are paying less than $11 a month. Well, more, wait, $833, I think, $833 a month. It is better to keep that amount on your regular credit card and pay it off, because it's not going to take you over $200 to pay that off. So using a zero balance is not in your best interest. It is not to your advantage. You have to always do the math. Don't be afraid of math. This is just basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Basic stuff. As a matter of fact, there are calculators that will do it for you. If you're a member of Navy Federal, you can use their calculators. You can go to bankrate.com. They have calculators. All of the agencies today, Credit Karma, you can look on there. You can see that they have it. Google, just Google one and use it. You plug in your numbers, it'll tell you exactly how much it will cost. You can multiply it and you'll see what you're saved. Do the math. Don't just jump on it because it looks good, it sounds good, and oh yeah, I'm going to get 0%. So every dollar I pay on there goes toward it. And this is the way to deal with that. Before the first payment is due, pay that $200 up front. Because then all you have is principal. Every dollar hit is going to take that principal down. And before you know it, it's gone. So pay that up instead of paying, because you would literally be paying it every month. just like you normally would be. I used an example here for the $250. They have $5,250. Transfer fee was 5%, which costs $250. The payment is 1% balance. Every credit card now, the new rule is whatever your balance is, your minimum payment is going to be 1% of the balance. So for 24 months at 0%, if the balance is not paid in full, remember this, you would default to the first day you put that amount on that credit card. And you're going to pay interest from that first day on until you pay it off. So you're going to pay that fee in addition to. Because see, they're getting their money up front. But now you're going to pay that in addition to going to be charged to you, because they're going to take it back to the beginning of the first day you transferred it. And they tell you that. Now, some of them says this. I've seen, I think it was Capital One and Citi. Instead of doing that, because they know they're getting their money, what they tell you is that it's really being absorbed in there. It's being absorbed in there because they're going to charge you regardless. They're going to get their money. Don't think they're doing you no favors. Debt companies are never doing you any favors unless they're giving you a debt cancellation. Hallelujah. And they're able to do that too. And some of them will. Not all, but some will. There are some good people in this world. And so as you continue to do that, we looked at the $250. We looked at their $5,000 balance, minimum payment of $50. We're going to add $100 to that, making the new payment $150. In 24 months, they'll pay off $3,600 of that. And the balance is $1,400. So what they're saying, if you miss it and we take you back to the beginning, you won't pay on the whole $5,000 balance. Citi and Capital One are two credit cards I know for a fact will only charge you on the $1,400, but they probably going to jack your credit, your APR, your interest rate up. So it may end up costing you a little more, but at least you're not going to pay on the whole $5,000. You're only going to pay on the difference of $1,400. And so if you pay that, you go ahead and then you'll pay it off. You get your tax refund. You put it on your debt. You ain't going to Disney World this year. You're going to put it on your debt. You don't go buy a car and they get it 3 months later because you know you can't afford the car anyway. Put it on your debt and make it work for you instead of working against you. Once you do that, within 2 years, you will be back where we just said. You will be totally debt-free. And isn't that painless? It is, because we're sitting here and we don't have to do it right now. But you're going to have to continue to sacrifice to get there. But I encourage you, the sacrifice is so worth it, to be able to sleep at night. Remember in the beginning, the two largest factors about debt? Number one, you lose sleep, and 12%, they say, of suicides are over financial matters. So debt takes its toll on us. It puts a lot of stress on us. We were not created to bear stress. We were born to be stress-free. That's why stress causes dis-ease in our bodies, because we were not created to carry the weight of stress. So if we become money-wise, you won't have all that. You'll be singing la, 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 and it ain't even raining. You'll just be happy, as they say, all the day. Now, once you've done your debt snowball, you've used these strategies, and it is a good strategy to use the zero balance transfer. I personally have used that myself, so I know it really works. And I've used it several times to pay down debt and to pay debt off. I also did what we did with Financial Peace when we held it at Oasis. I cut up most of my credit cards. Y'all heard me say most? I had 17 credit cards. Ugh. I didn't need 17. But the thing is this, the majority of those credit cards had not been used. I opened them for one reason and one reason only, and that was so that I would have something on my credit report that showed I had a credit limit and I wasn't using it. And so when you get to a certain point, you can do that if you want to help build credit. That was when it was time to purchase a house and things like that. But then you have to be very careful. We'll talk about this tomorrow when we look at the two largest purchases you will ever make. The first is a car, and the second is usually your house. You have to be careful when you're building your credit and having so much credit open, because then they start to look at you as a credit risk because they know you will be willing to take the risk, and they're not willing to take the risk on you because they want their money. Again, they are in business, and the business that makes no money is a hobby. It's not a business. You've got to be making money, and they're in it to make money. Now I'm going to ask, are there any questions that anyone has tonight? Y'all are great students. You don't have any questions. Y'all asked a little questions earlier, but if you don't have any questions, did you all get anything tonight? Did y'all learn something? I'm hoping you would take this information and please don't just tuck it in a drawer somewhere. Go back, and I've refreshed myself. I'm constantly reading. Reading can be your best friend. That's why I even thought, and one book I love, and you can get it on audio, I've listened to it over and over throughout the years, is A Millionaire Mind. Millionaires think like nobody normally thinks. Millionaires, for the most part, do not drive around in Mercedes-Benz. The number one car owned by most millionaires in America is the Toyota Camry, for several reasons. Number one, it holds its value. Number two, Toyota's has been number one for like 15 years, except for last year, for the first time ever, they were placed at number two, and the vehicle that took them over for reliability is the Lexus. Lexus is their luxury line, so it's still Toyota, any way you slice it. So that says a lot about them. Their resale value is always high. So if they're ready to trade their car in, they know they're going to get a good trade in. And I was like, wow, that book really blessed my soul, because it takes you into how millionaires think. They don't put their money into things that depreciate like cars. They buy things that appreciate. Houses. House value for the most part increase. We do have times in our economy where the economy gets bad and houses may decrease, but they always rebound. Cars, for the first time in, they said, over 30 years, have appreciated. They increased in their value. Used cars became more expensive during the pandemic than new cars. And that's because they couldn't get the chips to put in the new cars to bring them off the line. And so people were receiving a premium. My 2015 Lincoln MKC, I received a premium on that car. I got twice what it was literally worth, Blue Book, Kelly Blue Book, and nada, because of the economy. Keep your pulse on the economy. Watch what's going on. Trust and believe God, but keep your eye on what's going on in this nation. They're telling us if they don't make a deal, the global market is going to just fall. It's going to be catastrophic. Guess what? If you're debt-free, you're not worried about that. They looked at Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey keeps saying he still uses a budget. Number two, majority of millionaires still live on a budget. I checked his net worth this morning. Dave Ramsey is worth over $200 million, and he still lives on a budget. I'm sure his budget is much bigger now, but he still lives on a budget nevertheless. Having a net worth, and he owes no debt, zero. He uses, and I've heard him say it plenty of times. I just was at their conference on Tuesday, getting in their classes to get certified by them. And he said then that not only does he never uses credit cards anymore, but he uses a debit card, one for personal and one for business. He never carries cash. That's one thing I like. I don't carry money. If I have money, it's a miracle. Or somebody gave it to me. Because I'm like, I never carry money. I debit everything because I like to keep record of every dollar I spend. And when I do, it's like I told you earlier, I have to break it and I put the change in the change drawer. And so right now we are a majority of women in here. So let's pull before we get ready to close. I wanted to do, would you grab them up? And I have something that I'm going to get. This is something that I love. I'll show it to you. I know people, I think I'm a neat freak. I like things neat and orderly. So, this is something I do. I'll share with you tonight. If people look at my purse, they be like, my goodness, what she got going on in there? Well, I'm getting ready to show you right now. This is a purse organizer. Isn't that nice? They are so cute. And I can take this, and I have different colors, and I take them from purse to purse. And so they keep everything organized. Not only my masks are organized in there, everything has a little pocket, checkbook go in the zipper, wallets in one. And so tonight I want to share that with the ladies in the house, because you can take one of these zippers, and if you look at Financial Peace and you decide to use the book Financial Peace or go to Financial Peace University, you can take and put your coupons in there. So when you go shopping, you unzip them and just pull them out. Now, one thing you have to, is the law of order, is what it's called. You want to keep everything in order. God is the God of decency and order. If you look at my wallet, when I do have money, my denominations are straight. They're not bent. They're in order. $1, $5, $10, whatever's in there is going to be in order. And I do that consciously because I want my life to stay in order, because where there is chaos, there is no good communication. Chaos makes clutter. Clutter makes for confusion. So we got to get it straight. So I'm going to pull a little number out here. Oh, let me close my eyes real quick. Last three is 226. Is yours? Who has 226? My Lord. Last person in it, he gets blessed. Bless you. Is that you?
I don't know if it is. You have to check this one.
Yes, sir. You don't have your glasses? Well, you are going to get blessed with this. You can put your payments, anything you want to put in there, and keep it in order, and you can put it in your backpack. God bless you.
Great. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. See, the last shall be first. Look at God. Look at him. Hallelujah. And it's easy. It's so easy to do. You just pick it up and you put it in your next purse. So every time I change my purses, it only takes me a few seconds. And when you look at me, I'm not in there doing like this anymore. This is one of the best organizers, and not only organizers like this, but organize I try to start, and Deacon, he can definitely tell y'all, you pull my drawers out, I have organizers. Everything I put on is in order. I ordered it online. And I've been giving them away as gifts because I just think they're great gifts. And I ordered, oh Lord. You can get them from Amazon. You can get them from Temu, which is Temu. They start at, I think it was $7.98 or something like that, and up for them. And they're worth it. They really are. Their organizers for drawers start at $1.99. You do socks, everything you can imagine. You organize. You get organizers for your jeans. I can show you how to fold your jeans and put them in the slot. Your undershirts, put them in the slot. Oh, you just get carried away with doing it, I'm telling you. It's fun in being organized. It really is. It beats pulling your drawer open and you go, where my blue sock at? It'll take you 2 days, and that's why you're late Sunday morning. You're looking for your socks. You get organized, they put them together, you put them in the slot, and this is what I do Sunday morning. I'm late because Deke called me, Pastor, to go get his phone. It's not because I'm not organized. And you can do it with scarves. There are all kinds of organizing things. If you look at my pantry, it's organized. And I didn't get that offline. I went to the Dollar Tree. And I bought baskets, and I put labels on the baskets. And I fussed at Deke for not putting things in the proper basket. Everything has a place, and everything should be in its place. And when it is, you have peace in your house. Can we give God praise? We're done for tonight. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you. I've enjoyed you all. I appreciate you all coming out and listening. And young man, we definitely appreciate you stopping in with us this evening. This is your first time at the Oasis. You've been here in this area a long time. Hey. Amen. Well, we are so glad that you decided to stop in with us and to learn about finances, to learn about money. Money literacy is something we all need. Tell your friends, your family members. We'll be streaming tomorrow to stop out with us. And lastly, one thing I've learned, if you don't sow into something, you will not appreciate it. I will ask you tonight, we did not charge for this. Oasis wanted you all to have it free. But I've been given liberty to ask you, if you would like to sow a donation in my life, you may do so. Tonight, you may do so online as well, and they will make sure that it gets to me. I appreciate you all. I love, it is my deep passion to get this information out. And not that I'm negating the secular world, but I am really passionate about the body of Christ getting out of debt so that we can be able to build the kingdom. Can you imagine if all of us without 3 cars equaling $180,000 just paying the tithe off of that? Can you imagine? Because see, tomorrow I'm going to show you, as Christians, when we tithe, we want to be able to bless the kingdom of God and go beyond that tithe and start being able to give God offerings. And we can give greater tithes and greater offerings when we have no debt, because you're going to start to learn you'll get dividends, and on your dividends, you tithe. When you get interest on your account, do you tithe? Some people be like, oh, I didn't know I had to tithe that. Income is anything that comes into your household financially. It doesn't matter how I get there, it's income. It's coming in. So we bring a tenth to God, and then we give God an offering. So I thank you all in advance. I bless you all. It has been my great pleasure. We will stream tomorrow morning starting at 9 a.m., and we will be here until 2 o'clock. Write your questions down tonight and bring your questions with you for tomorrow. And even online, if you have questions, please enter in your questions and we will take a look at them and answer as many of those questions as we can get to. So I thank you so very much. We thank our pastor again, Pastor James Spence Jr., for allowing me to bring this finance conference, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to be here to do this. So I greatly appreciate him doing this. Bless you all. Have a good night, and I will see you in the morning. Oh, you're welcome.